folks are trying to get them done before spring break, I guess. So let's make sure we get a good mental release at the end as well. How about that? Okie dokie. Sometimes I swear the room turns. I come in here and my table is all sideways and I think it's just me. It's weird. Okay, enough side notes. It's time for class, right? Music, that's what I'm doing. So today we're going to work on centering, hip openers, and inner thigh extensions. And if you have a block to work with, great. We're not going to use it so much as a brace. So if you don't have a block, I'm going to try an alternate of a roll of paper towels, or also like a pillow, a dense pillow, or even like a rolled up giant towel are all viable options. But let's start on our mats. Letting your breath slow down, placing your palms up on your knees, and taking the first few moments of class really to take the time to witness your starting point. To acknowledge with compassion any parts of your body that might be feeling particularly tired or tight today. To be okay with that vulnerability of tightness or tiredness so that we can treat it with respect and nurture that part of our body so that it can heal and feel better. Allowing your thoughts to leave, allowing your breath to enter and fill that space. Breath in. Big exhale. Big breath in. Letting your arms float up. Your back out, dropping your head, releasing the back of the neck. Just let yourself sway a little bit if that's what feels good to you. walk yourself over to that left knee. Big breath in. Ripple your body up just a little bit and exhale, soften it down. Big breath in. Exhale, soften it down. And really drop your left hip down and back away from you. So you're stretching across the back, the quadratus lumborum, those big muscles in your back there. Inhale, float up, anchoring down through the left hip. And cartwheel your arm back, left arm behind you, right arm up, and reach softly away. Inhaling up center and waft down in the middle. Let that sway carry you over to your left side, anchoring down your right hip. Lengthen, fluffing up the body like a sail on a pirate ship, and exhale, soften it down. 3 more breaths to get all the way into that stretch. Reach it back. Open up those arms down to the back, and we're going to crawl our fingertips back and press the chest forward. Lift your neck back and tuck your chin in so you have at least one extra chin going on there. And that'll help keep the back of your neck extended into this arch. And then press into your hands, pulling your shoulder blades down so you're opening the chest maximally. Let your shoulders rise up and catch your neck. And now relax. Breathing into those ribs. Chin to the chest. Arms up. Curve and switch your legs. Roll up to an upright spine, taking your arms up and around. Spread your fingers and just radiate out through those fingertips and out through the center of your skull into the sky. Shoulders stay down, pressing down into the earth with both legs. Lengthening your spine. Relax your belly out. And we're going to do a weird breath exercise here where we're going to exhale sharply 3 short times and then inhale fully, completely. And we're going to use that transversus abdominis muscle to assist in the breath. So that means you're going to be sticking your belly out as we breathe in. And then we'll exhale sharp and short. Yeah? We're going to let our arms come up here. We're just going to make fire with our breath. Here we go. We're going in. And that third one, keep pressing until there's no more air. It might make you lightheaded. That's okay. breath in. Float it forward. Spread out the back, relax the neck, and roll it back up, stacking your spine from bottom to top. Repeat. Exhale down, let your back warm up as we lean out and roll up. Relax all the way, exhale at the bottom, and then inhale, roll back up. Let's turn our bodies from the rib cage, from the belly button, over that left leg. Same action. Let's slowly waft over as you exhale. Take a moment to release all the way over that leg. Gather up and in through your belly lock. Rise up. Repeat. We're gonna waft out over the leg. Coming down and breathe, release. Stack it back up. Other side, wafting down over your right hip. And you can feel your quadratus lumborum stretching and releasing as you root down through that hip. You can also feel this hip on the floor opening. And roll back up. And roll, stack back up. Take your hands, intertwine those fingers and press forward. Curve your body back. Rock it forward. Come up to all fours. And check your hand positions before we go on. Excuse me, I'm going to dust myself off here. Yeah, so remember, our hands are directly in front of our shoulders with our pointer finger going up on both hands. So you have those little right angles. And this helps you to rotate your elbows in so that when they bend, they slide right past your body, not out to the sides in yoga, almost never out to the sides, yeah? Micro bend, nice square elbows. Let's just do that. Let's bend your elbows and straighten them. Make sure they're not going out to the side. Straighten and bend. Keep a micro bend and roll your shoulders. And then let's take those elbows, parallel shins, I almost said, forearms. Your arm shins, you know, your arm shins. Tuck your knee in. Send it back. Put it down. Other knee comes in, back, and down. And down. Don't let your elbows slide apart because I'm sure they're trying to sneak out from underneath you. Keep them close. Tuck in, go out, and down, tuck in. Keep everything on that center line, yes? Take your body back into child's pose. Lift up for a second. Take your hands together. Draw that center line. Up between your thighs, up your spine, shoulders roll back, big breath in. Big exhale. Slide forward. Hold hands, so now you have dolphin arms, lifting up your torso, shoulders back. If you have a brick, or yeah, works pretty good. Or a roll of paper towels. You're gonna hold that roll of paper towels between your arms. It's a little bit narrow, but what I want you to feel is your chest doing the work to hold in. If if you have a brick, you can hold your brick here. Yeah. So it's this way. And we're gonna tuck it in and back. Tuck it in and back. Tuck it in and back. Now, I don't know about you, but this leg, as I do this action, I'm gonna let my back curl on the way in so I get a little more abs, but it sure wants to go and deviate out to the side, yeah? So I'd like you to really keep that inner thigh on your center line. And also to not let your hips go away from that thigh in the movement. Switch legs, tuck it in and back, and in and back. Use your belly lock so you're pulling your belly button up and in. All right, good job. And we're gonna slide out onto our abs. We're gonna take that brick or paper towel roll just between your hands for now, and I'm gonna drop my forehead onto the floor so that the back of my neck is super long here. I'm gonna pull my legs all the way together, lift my belly, just the meat of my belly away from the floor with that belly lock. Yeah? So I'm centering by lifting my belly. I'm centering by pulling my thighs together. I'm going to lift my chin in a little bit so that my forehead can rest on the floor without smashing my nose. And then I'm going to hold that paper towel roll or brick, anchor my shoulders back. So I'm going to pull my shoulders down and just lift it 1/2 an inch off the floor. That's it. Find your breath. Keep those shoulders anchored down. I know they want to shrug up around your knees. Check all those goals. Are your legs squeezing? Are your belly buttons in? Are your shoulders down? All right, drop it. Release it all. Wriggle it out. Forehead on the floor, chin tucked in. Pull your chin in to lift your head a few times. I'm going to move my arm just so you can see. I'm going to lift in. So I'm making like 16 chins here. But my back of the neck is extremely long. That's what I want you to feel. Good. Grab that brick. Hold up your neck with your chin tucked in. Belly's in. Squeeze the legs together. Hands lift the brick. Find your breath. Drop it down. Good. Press back, child's pose. Curl it up. Taking that brick between your forearms. Placing your hands down. Bend those elbows so you make sure that you're bending your elbows back. This is going to be smaller than your normal downward dog hand print, but come out to downward dog holding on to that brick or paper towel roll. And bend. Good, good, good. Now we're going to take your brick or paper towel roll and we're going to feel centering between your knees. So normally I would do this with the brick with its narrow side between our knees, but since I know some of us are working with another dimension, I'm going to take it wide side and I'm going to take it down between the shins or calves because that'll work better for those of us who are working with alternate props today. Yeah? So find a place, depending on the width of your prop, where your kneecaps are as wide as your hip bones so that we're in true parallel. We're going to squeeze onto that brick. And we're going to fire up our core again. Bellies down and turn your bellies up and in, up and in, up and in. And when you get right down here, grab the back of your thighs. Stick your belly out for a second. Feel that pressure down as you push down and out. And we want the opposite. Lift in your root chakra, lift in your belly. So I call it hollowing up, yeah? Hold on to your thighs. Tuck your tailbone way underneath and find that hollowed up feeling. I'm gonna release the arms and squeeze that brick. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Any sort of bouncing movement, dancing with your arms, just give yourself a little bit to hold against, yeah? So we're just creating momentum to move against, but hold your in and up and squeeze. Little twist. Come up, curve it back down. Roll to your lower back. Oh, this mic pack today is driving me bananas. I'm gonna free it. All right. With your prop between your legs, we're gonna hold on to those thighs and roll up and roll down. Roll up. Feel your inner thighs squeezing. Roll down. Roll up. Roll down. Roll up. Navasana. Squeeze that brick, friends. Feel your center line. Press your palms together to namaste. Roll down. Knees in. Grab that brick above your head. Slide your legs out long. Bring your feet together. We're going to gather up in our bellies the same way that we did before. So I'm going to squeeze my legs together. I'm going to pull up and in, hollowing up, shoulders down. So when I'm first grabbing this item above my head, my armpits probably shrugged up to my shoulders, and I want you instead to shrug your shoulders down into the back, feeling that centering, winding up of your effort into the middle of your body. And we're going to lift our head and arms. Feel your whole body squeeze to that center line. Radiate long at the same time. Can you reach out through your heels and the back of your skull? Arms together, shoulder blades squeezing down towards the spine. And let it go. Up. All right, let's rise for a little bit. We're going to step nice and wide. Just shift with parallel legs from one side to the other. And think about your belly lock and lifting up. Shift and up and shift and up and shift and shift. Stay low. Knee and toe. Watch them be straight forward. All right. Let's go ahead and turn both legs to a turned out position. And I'm going to move a little bit sideways so you can see that turned out position is definitely not 180. Yeah, so that's the position I'm in. You can see that my knees are still quite forward, yeah? It's almost 45-degree angle. But what we're working towards is getting away from this sway back squat position and to gain the strength by pulling up and in to our centers to get the shoulders over the hips. And that also requires us to pull those knees open a little bit wider so that the kneecap is over the pointer finger toe, right? not the big toe, but the second toe should line up with that tendon under your kneecap. So in and up. Shoulders down and back will help press your hands and arms open into your horseback riding pose, which looks very flat from straight on, but it's very much not flat in real life. Find your breath. Can you soften your neck? Hello, thighs. Greet the sensation in your thigh with acknowledgement, but not judgment. Remember, opening wide through those thighs, because they do tend to fall in, so we're constantly thinking about opening them up. Changing your right leg, we're gonna go to warrior two. Make it as wide as you can. Parallel, upright hips to the front, but your arms are over your feet. Same thing here, your tailbone reaches down. Add your breath with your arms. Exhale forward into a side angle. Take that hand back behind you. Congratulations to all of you who did this arm bind last week. Nice work. Can you look up to the sky with a long neck? And look down to the earth. Reach forward in that knee. And unwind to your crescent. I like to re-engage my abs here so that my tailbone doesn't pop out behind me here. And then yield to gravity and then pull back to center. Coming back upright. I'm going to heel toe together. And tip back over your left leg triangle. Lean all the way into your hand. And your hand can be above the knee, below the knee, ankle, floor. Or improvised prop. And it's really interesting to see how if you don't have to work on holding the weight of your upper body, sometimes it really lets you stretch out into those legs and hips a little bit more if you're using a prop. Let's soften both legs. We're going to bring your right hand across and down and revolve your triangle. Can you twist all the way in the other direction? Come back. And come on up. Center, turn both legs out. Come back into your horse riding pose. We're going to add some crazy breath. Ready? In through the nose, out through the mouth. Lengthen through those legs. Your left leg's going to turn in. Big breath in. Find your way into your warrior two. Hands down to the pelvis. Take a moment. circle it, wiggle it softly, smoothly, whatever it is that lets those hip flexors open you all the way into flat. And here again, remember in Warrior Two, often our knee falls in. We need to use the external rotator muscles here to open it out. All right, you're in your Warrior Two. Big breath in, big exhale. Find that center line. Exhale your elbow down into side angle. Remember, in side angle, we really crease in that thigh as this knee reaches forward and your arm and ribs open up to the sky. In side angle, your gaze, which we call the focus point of your gaze, a drishti in yoga, do the inside of this elbow if you can. Inhale, keep those hips low as you shift to your crescent. Rising up to Warrior Two. Press it straight. Bring it in a little bit. We'll reach out to flat back before moving on. Please don't lock your knees back here. Instead, keep them micro bent and squeeze those thighs towards the center line. You're pulling in, and that helps keep the weight out of the outside of the ankles here as you lean into your flat back. Imagine your torso is floating on the surface of a pool. Knees and toes straight forward. Radiating left to right through your fingertips, through your skull to your tailbone. Centering by pulling your thighs together, your belly and root chakras in, and your shoulder blades towards one another. Softly drop it down. Rest in the middle here. Soften those knees. Sway left to right. And find your prop. Hopefully it's much closer than mine are. All right, we're gonna take your right leg, turn it out. Brick goes inside of that right leg. Bring your legs a little bit closer. Open up to your triangle. It's really interesting how poses can feel very different when we're approaching them from the top or the bottom. So for example, we just came up into your triangle. Go ahead and press into the floor to come up. And then shift back over. Now we're approaching the triangle by coming over the top into it. It's interesting which muscles, which global movement muscles have overtaken the activity when we approach from a different direction. Take a big breath in. We're going to soften those knees a lot at first, but try and keep your hips in the same place as much as you can, rotating through the spine. Then your hips can go a little bit to revolve that triangle. Now I'm going to reach back through my back hip against the twist of my torso. And let it in the hips. Revolve back with the hips. Exhale back down to that brick. Back to your triangle. Back upright. Wide knees. Sway. Let it be fun here. If your booty wants to go back a little bit, that's fine. If it wants to go forward, soften your wrists. Find your brick. Drop your shoulders. Knees wide. Hold that brick in your hands. Shoulders down, heart open, lean it front. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you breathing? Let's breathe. And rise up. Shoulders down, squeeze legs together, rise up. And lift the knee and open its side for your tree. Open that knee to the side. Hold everything else as still as you can. These are the same muscles that will hold your knee in proper position over your lunges with the bent leg. Close it down. Take it down. All right, we're going to come down again to the center. Squeeze that prop, sitting up tall. Feel that centering. Press your arms together in Namaste. Curve your body. Lift those legs up. All right. Rest that. Now we're going to do the counter pose, which is we're going to take our hands to the outside of our knees, and I want you to use isometric pressure to press your knees out into your hands while you're pressing your hands in as fiercely as you can. Create that heat. Out, in, out, in, out, in. Good, good. Release. Squish it in. This might even be better with a soft prop. Pillow, for example. You could squish, squish, squish. In Pilates, we use rings for this, or those little child-sized bouncy balls, like it's that horrible sport where you hit each other. Not kickball, but dodgeball. Like a dodgeball ball works really well for this. Yes. All right. Release. Press out now. Out. Feel your hips fire. And out and hold. Push out, push out, push out, push out, push out, push out. How about your belly lock and your root lock? Can you lift those up while you push out instead of grinding down? Good. Okay, release. Now we're going to come into a very square version of a lunge. It's more like a proposal position, yes? Like you're kneeling. Thank you so much. Yeah? I'm super tight in my hip flexors today. So stay with me and rock through that hip. And just as you're doing this, your back foot can be pointed or it can be tucked, whatever is more comfortable for you here. Tucked is a little less nice on the knee, but it's a little easier to balance, I think. Notice when most of us come into this shallow lunge position, we want to go like straight into here and think we're doing something. But if we're passing the knee over the toe, our hips have also splayed open. We're no longer square. You turn to the front to demonstrate that. Okay, here I am. Square hips. If I go all the way into that position, see I've essentially turned my whole torso sideways. So it's not the same stretch at all. It's a nice stretch, but it's not the same stretch. So, another fun thing you can do with this stretch is have a wall nearby. That's a really nice way to not lose it. All right, tailbones. We're gonna tuck them underneath, so I'm hollowing out, and I'm trying to tuck my tailbone forward. If your knee's passing this ankle, step it up. And open your hip sockets, your hip flexors right here. All right, it's great if you have something to hold on to, but we are going to take the opposite arm to the inside of this thigh. Just like we were squeezing that pillow, I want you to squeeze your knee into that hand. Squeeze it in. You can also do this on the floor. Squeeze it in, use your inner thigh, centering that knee inwards. And now switch hands And I'm not trying to get the knee to actually move. I'm creating resistance in the position I want it in, yeah? So now I'm gonna put my hand on the outside. Alternately, you could use a block to be a little bit higher. And I'm gonna push my hand into the knee, pressure in. My knee's trying to open wide into that hand. All right, let's switch to the other side. First, just finding that square, simple kneeling hip opener for this back hip. Your hip flexors back here. We're waking them up, we're loosening them out. All right, shift that front knee forward. Really think about tucking your tailbone underneath and opening the back hip. Dropping this front leg's hip down and under as well. All right, you can rest against a wall, against a brick, or the floor. You can squeeze your thigh into the pressure of your hands, squeezing in. Feel those inner thigh muscles activating. Squeeze. Switch. Push out with the knee, push out with the knee, and in with the arm. Create heat. Good. All right, taking your weight back, tucking that back heel, and we're just gonna reach over into a hamstring stretch here. Stay here in your stretch. Hold on, I have a computer failure warning popping up. And once again, this back foot can be tucked, toe can be tucked or pointed. Reach forward and walk that back leg out, and we're going to extend it back and soften. But I want you to look down underneath yourself, please, and imagine your center line and squeeze both legs to the center line, really squaring those hips as you extend back and soften the back leg. Good, low lunge. Squeezing towards the center, let's rise up. Opening that back hip, you can open your arms. Let's dive through 3 times, squeezing that center line. Really make a lot of effort in your pelvis. So you're holding your balance by creating that pressure torque towards the inside, squaring your hips, taking your hands to your buns. Lengthen your lower back. Lengthen your lower back. Re-square. Shift forward. Long lower backs, everybody. This should be in your hip socket, in the front of your pelvis, not in your lower back at all. Good. Rest it forward. Tuck your back toe. Swing that foot through. Chaturanga Vinyasa on your knees is fine. Back to your downward dog. Walk those feet. And other leg forward. Find that square. Press it back, look underneath. Square those hips, squeezing your center line. And soften. Extend. And soften. Create fire, create heat by centering. Knee down. Point your toes, squeeze your legs together, press on up. bring those thighs together to square those hips. Tuck it underneath. Lift out of your body. Create heat, 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 heat. Circling the arms. Really squeeze through those hips. Hands to your pelvis. Tuck your tailbone underneath. Squeeze that center line. Shoulders down, long spine. Radiate through the upper back. Good. Release those hands down. Tuck your back toe. Take it back. Squeeze those legs together. Chaturanga Vinyasa. Good job. Switch your legs. Walk that dog nice and slow. Walk it out. All right, we're going to take our downward dog wide. Yeah? So as wide as a mat, a normal yoga mat. We're going to take your right hand across to your left shin. Twist underneath and look under your armpit there. Reaching through your body. Let the hips drop to that side and feel the outside of that leg stretch a little more. And switch sides. Remember this elbow, just like we practiced in the beginning, we still want it to rotate in. So I'm squeezing in, twisting underneath, and letting my left hip drop towards my right thigh as I look under my right armpit. Radiate through the arm. Finding your breath. Come center. Walk it down. We're going to have a wide angle child's pose next. Pressing back into your hips first and laying your heart down. Let your head rest to one side. To the other side with your head. Let your neck release with that deep breath. And then while you're here, I'd like you to use that centering feeling we've had. We're going to take our inner thighs here on the floor. And I'm not at maximum width for myself yet. I'm still sitting on my shins, but what I'm going to do is stay down in that pose and squeeze the floor with my thighs. Yeah? So I'm down here resting, and I'm going to activate my inner thighs and my hips and warm them by squeezing into the mat with my legs. Do a micro exploration with your pelvis. So I'm going to softly tuck and softly, slowly arch while we're squeezing. So squeezing the mat with your thighs, and you might want to adjust wider if it feels good. Squeezing the mat with your thighs constantly, slowly tucking. Engage your abdominal wall, lifting up and in. Hold onto the floor with your knees and slowly shift through into an arched lower back. Feel your hip flexors engage differently. Witness all the muscles involved in squeezing that floor and changing the position of your back. Slowly back, and go ahead and follow your own exploration here, but do keep that constant hug of the floor with your thighs. Hug it, hug it, hug it, hug it. Tuck, 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 tuck. Letting yourself shift, slow motion through that rock. All right, we're going to soften the squeeze on the floor. And now we're going to focus on releasing those knees as far apart as possible. And slowly, inch by inch, we're going to move forward until we're in the alligator pose. And I want you to really take your time, as much time as your body likes. Pause in a place. Maybe you move 1 millimeter per breath. There's a whole world of exploration before your hips get in line with your knees, which is where I am now. And when you get to each place, you might want to try that rock again and see how it changes the stretch on your inner thighs. And if you're super tight, your hips are going to be way higher in the air, and that's still totally fine as long as you're feeling your inner thighs get that deep stretch. Take your time, be gentle. Breathe into each new place you discover. Let gravity assist you. Compassionate with your own speed and experience. As your hips begin to pass the knees, your feet the weight might lift out of your feet, and that's all right. Slow. And I came up to my elbows to lift a little bit out of it. That's fine too. I'm going to come back down, and I'm going to stay in that spot. See if I can meet in the middle. Big breath. And for me, this position feels very different on my left and right hip because I have very different turnout in each leg for some reason. So, for example, for me, I feel much more on my hip flexor on this side and much more on my external rotator on the other side. So if you feel really differently on your hips, it's a good idea to maybe look down and see if you're mostly square, or feel your pelvis if you're mostly square. But it's pretty normal to feel the stretch experience in a lopsided manner. The more we do this stretch, practicing symmetry, the more even our bodies will become. And the more even our bodies become, the less effort it takes to hold them in healthy position. Right, I'm sliding myself forward a little bit more, and I'm letting my feet and my knees softly extend. So we're approaching the alligator pose. I'm going to take some time to slow back down. My inner thighs, the bones of my inner thighs are on the mat here, and so my hip flexors and inner thighs are starting to get out of the stretch, but still pretty stretched. Breathe into your release. Let those legs fully extend. Find a place where you can let them out, and inhale, radiate through that spine one more time. Go ahead and rest. If your neck is turned to the side today, try turning it to the other side. If your chin is out, that's fine. If your head is on your hands in front of your forehead, that's fine too. Find your resting place. Gently inhale and softly work your legs back to center. Taking time. When you get your legs back together, go ahead and just rock your hips side to side. Nurturing, softening. And take your hands back next to our ribs. Press back up. And now into child's pose with your thighs held together. Release, relax into that pose. Work today about squeezing those inner thighs together because we are now going to extend those inner thighs. So we did what could have inner thigh stretched for sure during that movement through from wide child's pose, widening child's pose into the alligator or crocodile pose. Now we're going to stretch out our middles. Now, fun fact, most of our cameras these days, phone cameras and laptop cameras, are all a bit fish-eyed. So this is fun because on the diagonal, it makes things look very long, right? Look at my arm, looks like it's way longer than my leg. It's not actually true. And when I do the stretch in the middle, it's gonna look like I'm at 180, but I'm definitely not, and I definitely don't expect you to be. So, turn to the side at first. You can see that I'm not at 180. Here's 180. I'm much closer to 45. And what's really important to get those inner thighs to stretch is that we don't whack our legs out and roll them in. So this is me pointing forward, but that we keep them turned out. Because if you roll them in, you're going to stretch your quadriceps instead of your adductors, yeah? So go ahead and take your thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, place them on your kneecaps and keep them there. And we don't want our thumbs to point towards our centers. We want them to be pointed up at the ceiling or behind yourself a little bit. Walk yourself to the place where your sits bones go vertical, so your bones are right into the ground there. And we're gonna exhale, curve back. And I'm gonna take our hands around the inner thigh to start. So this is going to be a definite assurance that our knees are out. I'm gonna curve back, I'm gonna sit up. Yeah, it's like cat-cow, but I'm holding my thighs out. All right, holding those thighs up, you can sneak your hands to the floor. Stick your tailbone up and out behind you. Boink, it feels like it's reaching up. Knees are up, yeah? As narrow as you need to be for your body. Knees are up, booty out, yeah? Reach back here. If your lower back is curved, you gotta bend more, you gotta bring them in more. So you want the thigh stretch to happen in the body of your muscle. That means the center, like on your bicep, the body of the muscle is where it puffs up, yeah? Like Popeye. So in the Popeye body of your muscle, not on the edges, because the edges are your tendons and ligaments, so we don't want to be stretching those. Those should stay the same length. It's the muscle itself that we want to extend fully on a regular basis so the muscle itself grows longer. All right. So find your wide, bent legged, knees pushed up, bent legged, archy back place. And we're going to stay here for a while. If the floor is really far away for you, be compassionate with yourself and perhaps use one of our many Prof options so that you can relax in this spot. So if you're working with a roll of paper towels today, you could rest your head on this roll of paper towels and feel the stretch right here. Yeah? If it's even higher, you can put both hands on it. That's actually really comfy. Yeah? Same thing with a brick. It can be on its end. It can be flat. Pillow on its end or flat. Whatever works for you. Most of us cannot use the floor. So that's not my expectation. Unless you have been dancing for a long time. The floor is probably far away. So this is my bus stop. My bus stop is pretty far along. But I still, even though I'm this flexible, feel that my thigh wants to roll in and I have to adjust it back. And sometimes on a tight day I feel it behind my knee. And so I sneak my hand or my fist underneath my calf or my thigh to keep that thigh bent and up. Find your place. We're going to be here for a while. Find your breath. Remember that in this stretch, your goal is to be able to stay in the stretch. So if it's too intense, if it feels sharp or painful, you're not going to stay in there. Or if it starts shivering. So you want to be at your edge, which is a place where it feels uncomfortable, but not undoable. If you get to that place where it's uncomfortable, and then you've stayed there for 30 seconds, and your body's like, impatient, right? That's just the sensation we often have. That's a great place to work. You want to approach the edge of your impatience. You want to approach the edge of your fatigue and be compassionate in that rough spot. Just think about how much that could affect the rest of your life to learn to have grace with yourself in moments of tension and how much grace you might be able to offer other people and kindness if we practiced having that grace with ourselves in our own moments of fatigue and tension. How do you show up to those moments of vulnerability for yourself and just be present? It's not about pushing through. It's not about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It's about a realistic and compassionate presence. slowly press your chest up. Don't move your legs yet, please. Slowly rise up. Take your hands, compassionately rock your thighs a little bit. Just give them a little softener. I'm really trying to not engage the muscles that we just deep stretched. I'm trying to leave them as relaxed as possible. All right, now I'm going to use my arm, not my inner thigh muscle, to bring my thigh back in. Yeah, leaving those inner thighs as relaxed as possible. I'm coming to our bound angle pose. And I'm going to curve the back. Drop my head down. And I'm going to inhale up. And I'm going to exhale forward into bound angle. 3 breaths here, please. Breathing in. Breathing out. Rolling on up, curving yourself down, sliding into your Shavasana. Long back, soft legs. Tucking your wings behind you. Big, juicy breaths. Me too. We might be sore, friends. We might be sore. What happened to my straight camera? Sorry, I had a lot of technical difficulties today, guys. I hope I didn't interrupt your practice too much. Any needs or questions before we